There.
It started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are on episode number 111 of Mirrorless Minutes. Mike's in familiar digs.
Yep.
I'm in the same house, just in a different location. I made mention online that I was moving to a different space, and I think some people envisioned that I was going into like a big Joe Edelman style studio. Not quite the case. I've downsized. I've been trying to minimize my impact on the household. So the last room,
way of putting it.
Yeah. So where I was at before is I was sharing a room with my wife. Her crafting area was one half of the room, and my photography stuff was the other. But I was kind of a slob, and I just kind of ended up occupying the whole room with camera bags and camera gear. And just every time I'd go out shooting, I'd come back and I'd just set stuff down on her table and my table and lenses and bags and straps. And it was just a mess. And I finally decided to maybe scale stuff back a little bit. And in this other room, I've got this little nook that was unoccupied by really anything. And I thought, you know what? I know I can fit what I need in that room and then closet all the other stuff. And by having it in a closet, I'm less likely to just leave it laying around. So here's my new digs. I'll give Bob Panic wanted the grand tour. Here's the grand tour. So this is the left wall right here. This is the right wall right here. The back wall is about 4 feet behind me with my shelf of.
I was going to ask you, what's the height? Do you have to like duck to get in there? Or?
No, it's a 10 foot or 9 foot ceiling in here.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not tall enough to reach 9 feet. So that's the grand tour. Welcome to my cubby.
That's great.
So with that aside, and for anybody who's listening to the audio version of this podcast when it hits, that was probably extremely boring to hear, but just take it for what it's worth. I'm in a little spot now.
Yep.
So I don't even know where to begin.
I know.
Show. So I'm gonna lead off with the big news.
Oh, we're gonna lead off with the big news.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make people wait until the end to hear this. So Mike and I are gonna switch to Fuji. No,
medium format.
Medium format Fuji. Yeah, if we're doing it, we're going big.
That's right. It's gonna be street photography, medium format.
Right. So here's the thing. I've been working behind the scenes to do something special, something unique, different for us, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and timing is right for it now. And once the pieces were in play, then I had to decide how I would announce it, because there are criteria and certain nuances to me being able to talk about
regulation and legislation.
Yes, exactly. In this political climate, this will really hit home with everybody. But so here's the thing. The next episode of Mirrorless Minutes is going to be on a Thursday. It's going to be on the 24th of this month. That date for you Olympus users might sound familiar for some reason. It's almost like we're counting down to that date. Okay. So with that being said, without me saying anything, you can imagine why Mike and I are doing a show on that date. And with that said, the show is going to be different. Mike isn't going to be in his room over there, and I'm not going to be in my cubby here. We're going to be together. We're going to be doing it live like we always do. The airtime is going to be 6 p.m. on the 24th, and we're going to be broadcasting live from the Michigan Theater, right?
Yeah.
Okay. State Theater.
State Theater.
I don't know why I keep thinking Michigan Theater. It's the State Theater in Ann Arbor. So we're doing this event in conjunction with the Camera Mall. And the super cool thing about this is, number one, that the Camera Mall is working with us to make this happen. Incredibly cool brick and mortar store. You wouldn't see an online retailer necessarily pulling this one off per se. But anyways, we're doing Mirrorless Minutes live, 6 p.m. Thursday the 24th. And if you're in the area, join us. Be part of
the first ever live audience. It's Wayne's World Live. We're taking the garage out.
A live studio audience.
Yeah.
So come watch the show, ask questions live on air, which is kind of a different concept for us completely. I'm watching the chat here, and let's see. Is my address the cupboard under the stairs? Yes, Bob, you're a nerd. Good Harry Potter knowledge. Or I'm nerdy because I know you're talking about Harry Potter. But anyways, so again, like I said, it's an open invite. Anybody who wants to come watch the show Thursday, January 24th at 6 p.m. in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Reach out to either Mike or I or the Camera Mall with questions, I guess. It'd be kind of cool to have a live studio audience for this. There'll definitely be some perks to being there live. You'll be there'll be access if you're live, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. I'm trying really hard to work within the confines of
I'm not even trying to say
contracts. Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. Mike's playing the safe route here. So with that being said, like I said, open invite on the 24th. If you can't make it to Michigan, just do what you're doing now. Just tune in and watch. And we'll have a lot to talk about that night. We've got the theater reserved for 2 hours. I don't know that the show will go for 2 hours. It could, depending on, questions and things like that. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So that was the breaking news. That was the big excitement for tonight's show. We do have a few other things to talk about, though.
And there'll be more coming out too. On. Yeah. I mean, we'll actually talk about it on Facebook and all that.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah. This was just, the intro to it. This was basically if you're a subscriber, viewer, or listener, you're kind of getting early access to that information. So, and Bob in the chat room says that he's sure Desmond will be more than happy to take orders on that day too.
He'll take orders for anything.
He sure will.
In fact, I heard he'll run to Buffalo Wild Wings down the street if you really want him to.
Yeah.
There's an upcharge. It's called DoorDash.
There you go. So I guess we can kind of get past that little bit of information. And I know Mike wants to talk about a couple of things tonight, so I'll kind of turn the mic over to you.
Yeah. Thanks. No, well, real quick, we'll go into the New York City Street Photography Workshop, June 1st and 2nd. There's one spot left. Wanted to get that out there. We're only taking 4 on it, so get that information. There'll be a link in the show notes, but just one spot left. It'll be a great weekend in New York City. Street photography, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and that's with Megan Crandallmeyer and myself. So make sure you check that out. Let's see what else. I don't want to talk too deep about this, but I'll try to explain it. I don't have anything to show. I was trying to come up with how do I show this. If there's anyone left on this show, and you might be in the same ballpark that I was, I used Aperture for years, and let's just talk about like maybe 8 years. For Aperture from Mac, and I had all my photos in it. And to speak of, I will tell you the exact amount: 52,846 photos. And I've always just kept them on as Apple's updated, their firmware and a new iOS. I just kept it on there and thinking that they'll keep supporting it, and they still are on this. What's the newest one? Is it Mojave? Is that what it is now? We're on Mojave. Yeah, the desert one. Okay. So they are still supporting it, but I'm switching my iMac, and I'm paring down. I'm doing a lot of paring down. We must have thought this up without talking to each other. Paring down inside the house. I got to do the same thing in the room. But I'm getting rid of the big iMac. Don't need that downstairs anymore. And I've got to get that Aperture off of there before I lose it and get it all into Lightroom. Not an easy task, but if anyone's ever done it, Lightroom has this thing called Aperture. I don't even know if you've seen this, Jamie. Have you?
No, I have not.
It's an app. It's to export. It's right in the file menu, Aperture Exporter, and you can do it right through Lightroom. But the big thing is it just takes them all over by date. It doesn't, like if you have a hierarchy like I have built, this and this and this going down, all that just jams them all in by date. And it doesn't take all the stuff like for the RAWs. It doesn't take any EXIF data or just a couple things of EXIF data. I'm thinking, oh my God, all those years, no way, no way. So there's a program, and I'll have a link to it. Maybe you still have it, and if you do, I'd suggest getting it off of something now and onto a drive. But it's called Aperture Exporter. And so I started this thing up. You got to order it. It's online. You used to be able to order it from the App Store, no longer though. And I don't even have the price on here right now, but it wasn't that. It was like $19 or something like that. And very worth it because it brings it all over the same way you had it in Aperture.
Nice.
The one thing I think you miss is like the faces piece, and I'm not, because the new facial recognition in Lightroom, I mean, that stuff blows me away, the AI with that. So I have no problem just accepting that. Do you use facial recognition stuff that often?
No, it's funny, to be honest with you, the facial recognition stuff, I just use it within Google Photos.
Yeah.
Not anything internally. Like,
yeah. And the only time I ever use it is in CC on my iPad. And if I want to look for a family member because somebody said, hey, do you got pictures of Sean or something? So boom, I'll just hit that. But it's crazy. It's really good in Lightroom. So anyways, I did this. It took, this is the big thing, 37 hours to transfer those photos out from Aperture Exporter ready to go into, with all the RAWs and everything. So prepare yourself. And that has nothing to do with your bandwidth for Wi-Fi. It doesn't go over Wi-Fi. Obviously, you know, if you've got good fast hard drives, that'll help. But so you know what? If you have any questions, if anybody's left that still has Aperture, and I'm speaking because I know Derek Story still has Aperture catalogs that he hasn't moved. So I know there's people out there,
man.
You know. But and if you don't have it, just be happy you don't have it. And go to something else, you know, fast forward through this section on the show.
So Tim Hanko in the chat room says $19.99. So I'm assuming maybe that's the cost of this.
Yeah, it must be the Aperture Exporter. Yeah, that's what I thought. I paid this, something like $19.99. Well worth it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
To save all your exit data. 52,000 photos. Unbelievable. So yeah, definitely give it a try. I think that's all I have right now. I have some cool stuff this weekend and shooting a velodrome. So if everybody's with bike racing, that'll be exciting. You know, looking forward to that. And we have a velodrome. I think might be the only one in Michigan.
It's the only one I've heard of.
Yeah, in Detroit, and it's actually sponsored by Lexus. It's a huge bubble.
Yeah,
and it's got big Lexus sign on the outside. And these bikes kick ass. I mean, around this wood floor. Yeah, so it'll be fun to see. I've never been in it. Big deal in Detroit, you know, for something like that. Biking in Detroit is a big deal. So it's all kinds of biking.
Yeah, and those guys get cruising like crazy quick.
Yeah, I got to imagine if you fall on one of those things, it's nasty because you're locked to the bike. You're clipped in.
Do you know what lenses you'll be using in that kind of a situation?
I'm definitely going to take the 40 to 150. I don't think I'm going to take the 300. It's going to be too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's too overkill unless I had to be up in a corner.
Right.
But I'm going to take some primes because we can get. I talked to the owner and he's letting us go anywhere we want.
Oh, nice.
So I can get, you know, actually the action. They actually do it like a NASCAR deal where the action they let a lot of people in the middle.
Oh, cool.
You know, a lot of the fans are right in the middle of the track, so they're not all watching from the sides. So there's a lot of. I think the fans it looks like it'll be a cool street shooting thing too.
Yeah,
a lot of people drinking. I mean, it looks like a wild time actually.
It's probably a little more subdued than NASCAR, hopefully.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think it's like a roller derby. So
yeah, cool. Did you have any information or want to talk at all about the new camera from Insta360?
You know, I don't have any information because here's the deal with it. It's called the Titan, and it's got 8 micro four thirds sensors on this thing.
That's crazy.
This is just radical, and I happen to be one of the guys that probably won't ever see that thing because this is a specialty deal, and I know they have one right now at CES because I saw someone playing with it today online. But from that sense, it's going to be. I would love to see it someday because that would be a serious. I mean, 8 micro four thirds sensors, shoots 11K.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I know Jamie can only produce up to about 10K last I heard. So
right.
Yeah. I think that room might burn up at 11K.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you got to check that out. It's called the Titan. And you know, and I think the bigger thing is it keeps showing that Insta360, they are developing like wizards. I mean, new product. So one good thing is anything they learn from that is likely someday to come down into the more consumer base.
I see things like that, and I wonder. I understand the Insta360 one, the one that you use all the time.
Yeah, the 1X. Yeah.
I mean, I get that. It's consumer oriented.
Right.
It makes sense for a huge audience, and I watch the groups on Facebook and some of the stuff people are making in there, and it's pretty incredible. Then I see something like the Titan, and obviously, definitely for like a professional, like a big production crew to use. And I'm just trying to think of the use cases for that. Is that something for like interactive experiences, like at Las Vegas hotels or theme resorts?
I'm thinking it's got to be, and I'm almost thinking too. People are using it. Maybe that sounds like a little overkill, but for stuff like you do with your lighting, to really zoom in and get in close. If somebody wanted to get to the ceiling, and maybe you can triple zoom in, and everything is still in focus, because you really couldn't do that with the 1X.
Yeah, the resolution's not there.
Yeah, the resolution's not there, but maybe something like high-end videos in that sense.
Yeah.
But I do think they're motion picture type things.
That's what I was wondering. I'm wondering if they're seeing that or banking on or predicting that at some point in time, these fully 360 immersive movies will take place. I know that there are a lot of challenges with that. Like number one is like, how do you hide all the film crew?
Right.
There's no hiding from a 360 camera.
Right. So, that is it. Exactly.
But definitely, I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff coming down the road, especially now that they've got those 11K cameras, which I would imagine means, and believe me, I'm not even going to try to figure this out. I'm assuming that 11K, they probably figured together. Yes, but so that no matter where you're looking, you're probably getting at least a 2K view everywhere you're looking. I don't know how to figure that out.
Yeah, I think they all. I mean, just generally, I know the 8K ones. They said it'd be like 4K.
Oh, really?
Like in half. Yeah. Wow. So maybe this is like a 5K deal. That's I mean, they really don't have a lot of information. I want to know more. I was supposed to be at CES. I actually got invited. Didn't get to go because of work. Yeah. The real work. So maybe next year. Jamie and I got to go. We got to get our press passes.
It's been on my bucket list forever.
Yeah. That is in 2019 is the small closet room. 2020 is CES.
There we go. Yeah. We're starting off at the State Theater, and we're going to do the next minutes at CES.
Oh, we could be live at CES. No,
that'd be pretty incredible. Yeah. It would be a novel experience.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you want to do any kind of an image share tonight, or
I'll let you go next because I've been talking, and I only have a couple to share. So you go ahead if you want to go first.
All right. I just have a few as well, but I just kind of want to talk about the what was going on in the photos here. So, so the first one is it's wintertime in Michigan. A lot of the wildlife is not there. The pretty sunsets aren't there, which is ironic because I'm going to be sharing photos of those two things here in a minute. But when it's crappy out, I spend a lot of time indoors and just trying to find something new to do. I thought it'd be fun to start playing around with, product photography or just figuring out how to light things. It's not really my forte at all, to do shots like this. So this is just a almost straight out of the camera shot, just using a single light and a couple of reflectors. I should have queued up the before photo or the behind the scenes photo, but basically the gist of this was just a few spare pieces of vinyl tile from vinyl tile job I did in bedroom closet floor. Just set those on a table, set these items, watch and knife and my scotch on the table there, and just lit them with a single 80-200 flash unit with a 38-inch, I think, octobox on it, and just bounced off the left. So the light is on the right hand side, and you can see in the image the right hand side of the bottle. You can see definitely more of a specular highlight towards the neck of the bottle. That's where the soft box was at, and the soft box is quite literally about 3 inches out of frame here, so it's almost touching everything here in the frame. Just so if you're not familiar with this concept, the closer the light gets, it gets softer. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, but if you back up, it tends to become a little bit more like a spotlight and harsher. So the light is super close, and on the left hand side I've got a silver reflector, and if you look on the left-hand side of the bottle, on the curve below the neck here, you can see like this little ripple, and that's actually the silver reflector just kind of propped up there on the side just to bounce light back in and fill in. I figure not too bad just for first time messing around with this kind of stuff. Something fun to do. And this was shot with the 45 millimeter f1.2 as well, just because the lens is ridiculously sharp. So obviously not wide open because the depth of field would be so shallow, nothing would be in focus. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is at f8. The next shot, though, is something that I've shot in the past for like the past couple of years, and this is the Polar Express train, and that is something that the children's book and animated movie are based upon, is this train. This is the Pierre Marquette. If you notice at the front of the train, I don't know how visible it will be on the screen share here, but you can see the train's number is 1225 Christmas, right? So it was fun. It was kind of a cool experience for me just to get out and meet up with a bunch of new photographers that I hadn't really ever shot with before. And one of them knew about this location of this little, very short trestle that went over this like a little stream or drainage ditch. And we kind of positioned ourselves there. Most people get shots in completely different locations. This is one of the first set of shots I've seen from this spot. I was pretty pumped to be able to do this. This is shot with the 7-14. I had been shooting with the 12-100, but I didn't want to be too close to the tracks. Just a little common sense there to not get close to the track. So this is processed actually in On1, playing with something different for software here. And I'll tell you what, I'm starting to find out that maybe Lightroom isn't the best at taking care of the sharpness on your Olympus files, because this image is insanely sharp. I'm kind of blown away by it, and now really starting to wonder if my workflow might change again. I know I've been dabbling in Luminar lately, and after cracking open On1 and running a few files through it, I'm starting to think that, you know, wow, maybe I'm in for a change in 2019. It might be something new for me. The next image, it's funny because I talked about lack of sunsets and all that stuff in Michigan in the wintertime, but this just shows you why it's probably not a bad idea to walk around with a camera everywhere you go. So this was shot just out on a walk with my wife one evening, out walking the dogs. And I could tell that we might have a little bit of color in the sunset, but I had no idea that, you know, about 2/3 of the way through our walking the dogs, as the sun got lower and lower, the sky just kept getting more and more pink. And this is pretty much straight out of the camera this way. There's very little editing to this. And it just kind of shows you how, like, I think an evenly exposed image can really turn out great. I know I spend a lot of time in post, and I always talk about how great it is to, for me anyways, to spend time editing and things like that and creating the image that I felt I was witnessing, you know, or the emotional side of things. This is one of those cases for me where it really was just like that when we were out walking. And another good example of being low to the ground with an ultra wide angle lens, because this mud puddle is probably quite literally 24 inches long, although it looks much longer, by getting down close and shooting at the widest end of the 7-14, so at 7 millimeters. And then last, this is just a sequence of photos just to show you how when you go out, if you have something in mind that you're going to shoot, set up in advance. So this was a couple of weeks ago in Muskegon. I was up there looking for snowy owls at a popular spot where they seem to visit every year. And I knew that there were frequently bald eagles up there in addition to snowy owls. So while we had already seen snowy owls in a couple of different locations, I decided to spend time driving around the area looking for eagles. And without a doubt, happened upon this eagle up here. Already had my camera ready. Had it in the settings that I prefer to shoot in when I'm shooting something like this. So this is continuous autofocus tracking, the center 9 boxes, auto ISO and shutter priority, excuse me, and 1/800th of a second. So these are pretty much straight out of the camera, no editing. I will probably end up going through and playing with these to change the sky up a little bit, maybe to add a little bit of color to the sky. It was a very overcast and ugly day, but this is just the sequence of events as the eagle took off from the tree, and I only brought in like 5 of them. The entire sequence of images goes through about 15 frames. They get kind of boring once he gets out away from the tree. But I think this just kind of shows you too that with a little bit of preparation and a little bit of practice, I guess you'd say, that the EM1 is a very capable camera of maintaining focus on something even as it flies towards you, which is funny. It seems to be like the toughest thing for wildlife photographers, I guess, is having an animal approach you. The camera stayed on focus all the way through this sequence of shots, and the eagle, what you can't see in the remaining frames is he actually swoops back up into the open here on the left-hand side of the frame, where the camera really has no problem at all tracking that. So just kind of wanted to share that I was able to stay locked on focus and fire through a series of shots with all of this distraction in the background without the camera getting confused by it. And it's kind of nice to be able to pull that off with the equipment. Pretty stoked on that. So it's kind of what I've been up to a little bit.
Cool. The train one, man, that shot. You know how many train pictures I see of that thing? You know, yeah. If you're a Michigan photographer,
oh yeah,
a lot of people are taking them, but
right.
But I have not seen that one at all.
Neither had I. So
that was crazy good. That train picture, that is one that I'd like to have hanging. I mean, not that I don't think your work is great, but I mean, it's like, holy crap.
Thanks.
That one is so different than everyone else's. And I know that for a fact because my wife said something about it when I showed her. She went crazy. She goes, "How come you didn't get that shot?" I said, "I didn't even go shoot the train. How could I have gotten it?"
Right.
You know.
Before we go on, I just noticed something in the chat room, and I did want to give this a shout out. That's why I'm wearing this tonight. So our buddy Rick Vestuto owns a graphics shop, so he does everything, man. He does like vinyl wraps on vehicles. I've seen like entire walls that he's done in vinyl. He does shirts, decals, and there's not much this guy can't do. And I'll tell you what, at the sickest Christmas present this year, I got a box full of shirts that Rick made. So here's one of them. It's pretty sweet. It's the Olympus lens lineup, the Pro lens lineup. He made several of them that are super sweet. So I just wanted to give Rick a big shout out and a big thank you for the shirts, dude. It was super cool to get these. So
awesome,
thanks.
Man. I love them. They're really cool. Yeah, the Pen F ones I really like. I got the Pen F ones. So, but yeah. So let's see. I can share. We got a couple of minutes. Where is my? There it is. Okay, and we're gonna go quick because I had to pull out some other ones that I haven't had. So, some shooting over Christmas. This is one of the Grand Circus Park in downtown Detroit. Just a cool area. I know everyone's probably already been through Christmas and Christmas lights, but this is the first time we've ever had anything like this in downtown. This is one of our meetups. Bob Panic was with us. Lou and I were out doing a meetup. And just a fun, this gives you a little bit more perspective, this, from the size when you get along the side of it. But nice to see in the center of Detroit. Then I've got two images I'm going to share from our last New York City workshop. And that's because I just want to talk about a little bit about perspective, as Jamie's trying to lend some perspective of how he shot. These are the same things I was doing. And I noticed this as an outside diner as we were walking, and this guy trying to talk him into different types of wines or whatever. And so this was shot with the 17-1.8 and the Pen F, obviously shot at 1.8. Focusing on that bottle. I really didn't care much about getting the person in dead focus, but it's just a neat shot from a different perspective. Sort of like some of my hands-on or up close shots I've done with a fisheye. Same thing here. Lots of photographers behind me taking pictures of the Brooklyn Bridge and on this cool, stone. Actually, it's a railway that goes through here. I don't think we ever saw any trains. There were more cars that passed than anything, but I just got down straight on my belly here and said, the perspective is going to be a little different. So this is with the 12-100 and the EM1 Mark II. Just change your perspective when everybody's shooting up. Try to think about what it would look like from a whole different angle. So that's just a couple thoughts, to pass along. And I think our next show will probably have maybe just a few extra things to, talk about. I don't know.
Come on, talk more about that, Mike.
something like perspective. So, all right. So yeah, that's all I really have.
Yeah.
You know, I think our announcement was the biggest thing.
I think so too. It's funny because like all day long I've been thinking, how am I going to talk about this? How am I going to mention this? What can I say? What can't I say? Will I have anything else to say after I say what I'm going to say? So yeah, it's going to be exciting, you guys. So if you get a chance, like I said, I would really like to see all of our Michigan Olympus users that can make it come hang out at the theater. I'll tell you what, you come, you hang out. Afterwards, I'll buy you a drink somewhere. We'll go hang out and we'll go hang out and do some stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can really say. So it's funny. You got to love the inability to speak about something that you want to speak about.
But you know, well, let's talk. We can talk. The theater is awesome. Am I right?
Pardon me?
The theater, the State Theater, it's
incredible.
Fantastic venue.
Yep.
So, you know, just from the ability to see the show there too, it's not like you're sitting on a bunch of folding chairs.
No, it's a legitimate theater. So they have a 4K projector.
Right.
So Mike and I will probably be doing an image share there as well on a movie theater screen behind us. So it'll be a pretty cool experience. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be neat. I just hope it doesn't like snow like crazy or something.
You sound like my wife.
That's what I'm hoping.
Becky's like, you better hope you don't get bad weather. So I'm driving the truck that night, so it doesn't matter. I'll be there.
I'll be there. It's just the point of we might be the only two.
Right, yeah. So, all right, guys, I guess with that being said, we're going to wrap this one up, and we are really looking forward to seeing you guys on the 24th, either in person or on the show. You guys take care out there, keep shooting, and we'll talk to you later.
See ya. It is staying on.
It's staying on.